Well, I hope you folks have had an excellent Easter.
And this episode is chock full of sugary anime goodness.
But let's not get carobed away.
Carob is unacceptable!
He's right, you know.
Avalanche!
Tetsuo! Kaneda!
Onita?
It's over 9,000! Nani?
Configure the language logic interface for Japanese.
Kawaii-Fi.
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 Kawaii-Fi Radio!
Konnichiwa, and welcome to another episode of Kawaii-Fi Radio, the podcast we look into the world of anime and manga. I'm Kyle, and joining me are my co-hosts, Gogo and Kenny. How you doing, guys?
One of those is me.
Merry Easter. Hang on, no, Happy Easter.
That's not a thing. Merry Easter. What do you even say? Like, celebrate Easter? Just Easter?
Happy Easter.
Happy Day of the
Happy-
Bunnies.
Day of the Bunnies.
You have not experienced Easter properly until you have been savaged by many bunnies.
I was going to say I didn't get to appreciate Easter properly for a long time because my parents
happened?
gave me carob eggs one Easter, and I have never trusted them since, and it's unsweetened
Look,
carob too.
oh no, that's the worst. So look,
yeah.
honestly, like my mum used to make carob hedgehog slice. That was amazing. That was so good.
Walk me
But
through it, because
unsweetened carob.
I've never had carob. Tell me, what is it?
It's a root, sort of similar to like it's like someone went, this looks like chocolate, so it must taste like it.
So it looks like chocolate and it's a root. So do people like
Same
carve
colour
carob
too.
roots into eggs?
No. So like they
They
turn it
powder
into
it,
a
right?
powder, just like you would do with like cocoa beans.
Okay.
You turn it into a powder, but it's a lot bitterer. It has a lot less flavors.
You have
I think
to
I
sweeten
prefer
it a
my
bit.
mental image of someone like carving a chocolate-coloured potato into an egg and saying, Happy Easter! Eat
Meanwhile,
this."
that egg is screaming.
Poor Kyle. It's okay. Look,
No.
hopefully we can have a lovely, sugary, sweet podcast today that will purge all memory of your parents' treachery from your mind.
Did I also tell you about the spinach incident?
No.
Well,
Can we have a secondary podcast where we just go through Kyle's issues?
Yeah.
the Kyle's Issues podcast.
How many issues Kyle has because his parents betrayed him?
They
I
betrayed
can dress
me.
up as Freud.
We will need a chaise longue
Tell
for
me
it.
about your mother.
Yes.
But,
Let's not go into that, actually.
well,
we've
I've got
seen
the perfect
animes where that
I've
happens.
got the perfect soundbite for why we shouldn't go into that.
Oh, yes, which also brings us to our new segment.
Yes, which ties in with this season's spring anime.
It's
We're
not a
calling
full
it
segment,
the.
is it?
Well, it's a mini segment. We're calling
It's a
it the
mention.
this season's no
No.
animes.
No.
The
Yeah.
No.
Yes, that's so.
So-
This is stuff that
No.
we've watched, and we've just gone.
No.
So, who wants to kick this off?
Glepner.
Ah, no.
I mean, I've heard that this is quite popular.
Yeah. Look,
I've heard
the manga's meant to be really popular.
I mean,
I'm
it
sure
starts
it
with
is.
such a deceptive tone, doesn't it? I mean, you've got this guy, he's sort of semi-awkward, but he's just like, my senses have heightened. I can smell the dead. And it's sort of like, okay, this is kind of cool. Is this going to be like he's sort of like a modern-day werewolf? Is this going to be like an
Yeah.
anime of an American
Yeah.
werewolf in London, classic horror film?
yeah. No.
No. He
No.
turns into
a furry mascot.
a mascot, a
I'm-
sports
It looks
mascot.
like he's put on the head, and you can sort of see it. You know when you can see like how
that's the thing as
mascots
well.
have got
It's
this
like
big helmet.
The suit grows out of him and melts into him in just sort of
Yeah.
a weird
But
fashion.
then it just looks like something he could take off.
I want to just be blunt here. This seems like it was written by a 12-year-old who's just hit puberty and only discovered their body.
I mean, when you look at how this guy interacts
That-
with who it turns out to be sort of like the main female protag, and it's just kind of it's Beauty and the Beast if Beauty is that girl from Mirai Nikki,
Yep.
and
If she was
the
a yandere.
Beast is a mascot costume enthusiast.
I could see how you could be into it. I can't be into it because I'm not of a high school age, and I find panty shots of mine as very unsettling.
very
so
unsettling.
I'm not. I was like, I didn't finish.
Boy, are they constant.
I know. Like,
I didn't even finish it. It got to that point after he rescued her from the fire, and I was like, no.
it doesn't
switching
get any
off.
better from there.
It really doesn't.
He
Really?
then meets she then tracks him down because he left his phone there.
I
and
mean,
then
this is all
threatens
just
him.
our opinion as well. Feel
I mean,
free
look,
to
you-
disagree.
you-
Like what you like.
Like what you like, but for us, this just
This was
sends too many
just-
This was just.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
To be honest, this was probably the biggest no of the season.
Yeah, so now we're going to the second biggest. Well, maybe one of the second biggest.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No,
yes.
Gal and Dino or Dino. I'd
Or
say Dino.
dinosaur. Or...
What can we say about this?
Well, let's be quite simple here. This is made by the people who did Pop Team Epic. It is very strange. It kind of focuses on that strangest comedy. It changes its style throughout it. It almost seems like a clip show, and it almost seems like you're seeing the same thing just in different styles. So you go from normal animation style to clay animation style to a live action animation style. And it's like, why? What was the point? I'm seeing the same thing 3 times.
It's interesting. I like the way they've done it, but like there are other. I feel like the execution was where it lost us.
Yeah.
Like the story on its own, it isn't like that, off-putting or anything.
I was going to say though,
you know,
but what story? That's kind of the question. Like,
exactly.
yeah, the whole story about it is that a girl is followed home by a
Looks
cartoony
like a
dinosaur thing. It's sort of like Barney the dinosaur if he was a mute and he just stared into space as if gazing
yeah,
into the
it's
void.
kind of he's got fish eyes.
Yeah. It's just.
No offense
Look.
to fish.
Wow, we're worried about offending the fish.
Fish have feelings.
Fish have feelings.
Fish
too.
are friends, not food.
Fish are friends, not food.
Except stinking dolphins.
Dolphins, yeah, they think they're so cute.
Sorry, I love that movie. Finding Nemo was
It's
the
the
best.
best part
It
of
is.
the
It
film.
really
Those
is.
3
The
sharks.
Aussie sharks.
Oh my god.
Hello,
Very
my name's
Humphreys.
Bruce.
Well, look, Gal and Dino, it might be up your alley if you enjoyed Pop Team Epic. For me, I want a bit more story. I want a bit more direction from what I'm watching. And I want to feel like I can look forward to something new where it's going to expand on the idea each week as opposed to what I feel like will kind of be a lot of randomism.
Yeah, I feel like events on this is going to be like, okay, I'm going to go shopping for some eggs. And yeah, okay, let's move on to something which did have some story,
Did it?
more or less.
Yeah. No. Yes.
No.
Yes.
We are of course talking about Sakura Wars.
Which is based off a game initially, I
is that a
believe.
mobile?
shows.
No,
game?
I don't think it's a mobile game. I think it's a
Oh.
proper like platform game.
Okay,
It's
cool.
console game, sorry.
It looks
Been a few.
cool.
Look, it's aesthetic, very cool.
Like the
Look,
world looks
The
great.
aesthetic did look like a game, though.
It did,
didn't
didn't
But
Look,
it is a lot of just aesthetic and not a lot of substance.
Any anime which opens on a train with a battle on the top of a train gets my vote until that's all the plot for that episode.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Like,
It's sort of like you are introduced to a team of superpowered ladies who have superpowered mechs who each have sort of like a gimmicky weapon. One of them has a magical samurai sword. One of them has sort of magical throwing knives. They're all very sort of magical skill-oriented weapons. And then you have someone who just has the magical power of gun.
I guess
The power of gun.
Yeah, it's sort of like everyone else has like these big charge-up sequences. And then you've just got this lady who is packing.
This is just like the Mexican edition of, Pokemon Sword, Shield, and Gun, which went around at
Okay.
the time when that game was coming out.
Okay, but to be fair...
To be fair,
To be fair.
The power of gun would solve a lot of problems in various animes.
I'm going to make a graphic for this called The Power of
And the
Gun.
power of gun. My best example of this is the many orientations of sort of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, yeah.
And they always end up with some guy with glowing eyes or heterochromia eyes going, I'm going to end this world and nobody can stop me unless you play me at a game of children's cards.
Yes.
Children's card game, to quote the
On
British series.
motorcycles.
Imagine if there was someone there with the power of gun. I'm going to end the world. Problem solved.
I think the power of gun needs to be like a sound effect. I'm going to
Yeah,
try and
if
make a
it's-
sting for
if
the
it's-
power of
Yeah.
gun.
If we're just talking about power of gun, then this would be okay and interesting to watch. But honestly, like even the fight on the train, it felt
Yeah.
like a rehashed. Oh, I had the word for it. It's like it's a format that I've seen before, and I was bored.
It seems like we've seen it before. And also the CG it was like sort of that weird 3D CG
Yeah.
that they use for the idols, but not as shiny. But it didn't seem like it was very smooth.
It's just kind of A lot of edge, not a lot of substance.
This is essentially this season's, what do you call it, Azure Lane.
Pretty much, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Based off a game, a lot of glitzy, shiny stuff. Maybe you'll get a kick out of it. It's some
Maybe there'll be
popcorn.
a guy.
I doubt it.
I doubt it. There won't be any guys in this. Like, let's be honest. But of course, because of that, that means that gets straight away up.
No.
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 She's right, you know.
She's right, you know. And 3 no's means that's, you know, the 3-no rule, no more.
All right.
We
So,
got 3 no's this season.
3 no's this season, yeah. Look, those are the 3 that we thought we'd try out and just didn't catch us. We will go through, obviously, what we're going to talk about this season in a moment.
Indeed.
But, you know, it's springtime for anime in isolation. Yes, the spring season is here. That means it's time to talk about what we're checking out this season. As per usual, let us know what your top 3 picks are for this season in the comments section. We'd love to know what everyone else is watching as well. And hey, if you're enjoying what you're hearing so far, hit that subscribe button.
Smash the like button.
Smash it. Because there's plenty more anime talk coming soon.
And hit the bell icon.
Oh yeah, the bell thing.
We'll pin ya.
Yeah. Wow, we're really going. We're stealing everyone's stuff today, aren't we?
I mean, you know, it's not copyrighted. Wait, is that copyrighted?
I don't think How Ridiculous have copyrighted it, but they are from our city, so I hope they'll appreciate it.
Hey guys.
Yeah. Anyway, before that, let's get into the anime news.
Making headlines.
Really?
Sort of.
Anime news.
Well, it's time to have a look at what we've been going on in the world of anime, and I've lost my
Smashing
words.
English
what we've
again.
been going on,
What
yes.
we've been doing.
We have
What
been going
has
on,
been-
guys. We have.
We have. What's been going
We
on in the world
continue.
of anime and manga this past week? And it's only been a week, so this news segment will be a bit shorter. I know, shock, horror, like just utter trauma.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about the bad stuff first. So,
bad
Oh,
thing.
okay.
there's been lots of cancellations. So here's everything that has been cancelled or impacted by the coronavirus. The Violent Evergarden, the movie opening, has been pushed back, and this is due to the restrictions for cinemas in Japan. Now, you might remember this film was delayed previously after the incident at Kyoto Animation last year, so this is the second time it's been pushed back. Originally meant to air in January, then it was, April, May, and now it could potentially be September.
That is some tough luck. Give
Yeah.
them some support, guys, where however you can.
There's also, this season, we were meant to get a few sequel animes. No Guns Life's second half was meant to come out. That's been delayed due to the virus as well. I believe it's, to be honest, from everything I've been reading online, it looks like a lot of these delays are to do with voice acting because they can't have people working in close proximity.
Yeah,
That's
that
fair.
would
So,
make sense.
fair enough. Also, there have been quite a few voice actors who have caught the
Oh,
coronavirus.
no.
Oh,
None of
no.
them are in danger at this point, but it's been going around. Japan's going into full lockdown at the moment, so they're not to the extent everywhere else is, but they are starting to announce emergency
recognising,
situations
yeah.
everywhere. So No Gun Life's second half has been delayed, and that will decide when part 2 will come out at a later date. Third season of my teen romantic comedy Snafu from this season also delayed due to the virus. They're going to announce the premiere date later as well, probably
Okay.
once things calm down. And perhaps the biggest news on returning delays, the final installment of Sword Art Online Alicization has been delayed as well. And that's according to my anime list. Haven't seen that on any of the other sites, but it is not listed anywhere in the TV schedules online. So it kind of checks out at this point.
And also, I think if people are waiting on orders from Japan,
Yeah.
that is going to be on a delay as well due
Yeah.
to Japan's post beginning to limit some of its shipping services.
Yeah, so if you've been ordering anything off like Ami or J-List or Otaku Box and so on, expect there to be quite a hefty delay because flights going in and out of Japan have been severely reduced.
Yeah.
So yeah. So let's talk about something better.
Please do, yes.
Okay, let's do this.
So you might have caught Kabukicho Sherlock or Case File 221B Sherlock.
Yeah,
Kabuki.
it was absolutely crazy.
It's a bonkers anime. From
I mean,
last
there
season.
seems to be like a detective-esque, Sherlock-esque anime every couple of seasons.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a flavor of the month kind
Well,
of a deal.
this finished its 25 episode run, I believe, and that was just this season. It ended. It is getting a 6-part OVA, and I think it's all coming out in late August. The project will depict the past and future of Sherlock, Watson, Moriarty, and the other detectives in the
Okay.
tenement.
Okay.
And that's going to be released as 6 individual discs, I believe, which is going to obviously be a bit different.
I
so-
really did like Kabuki Show Sherlock, actually. So really glad late August, that gives them a bit of time to work, doesn't it?
Absolutely,
And at least
yeah.
they're not going to sort of go a bit, they're not going to rush it too much, which is important.
Not to mention there's
What's going on? You guys are being a bit funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what are you doing? What are
I'm
you
just
doing?
looking for my kazoo. I just feel like... Yeah, can you see if it's over there?
I think I hit it.
What? Why would you hit it? Why would you hide it from me?
Real good English for all of us today. This is what happens when you have chocolate in the morning. You just can't do anything.
Yeah, you're right, actually. That is the thing. Like, it is Easter.
Now,
and
we
chocolate
should,
in the morning is not...
We should move along to a final piece of very good news. Very good, in fact.
What?
Our Domestic Girlfriend is coming to an end.
Yes, finally.
Yes, the manga will end with its 28th compiled book on August 17. Thank you for the... Yeah, in fact, this music is kind of perfect. Let's all have a moment of silence for this trash fire. The moment has passed. Let's move on.
That's why
It's my dumpster fire!
I wanted to do the type that... it's so sad.
I'm sorry, but with rearranging all the studios and stuff the last couple of weeks, I have no idea where anything is gone.
I'm going to record it later when I do find my kazoo, so that when things do come to an end and one of us is very sad about it, we can play it, and that will be...
Okay.
This should be a bonus video.
Yeah.
It's just got a still slowly zooming in on Domestic Girlfriend while the kazoo plays. We'll save it for when it finally finishes.
How sad are you, Kyle?
So this,
I'm actually quite happy it's coming to an end because we've covered
no
off
more
all the...
heartache?
No, well, look, to be honest, in like the last 10 chapters, we've kind of really gotten to the end game of the series. We know exactly what's happening, and it just kind of feels like right now what's been put in doesn't need to be there. We could finish now and everything would be fine.
Yeah, I kind of get that.
But
this was an anime in 2019 though, so that might have a bit to catch up to the end of the manga.
Oh no,
if it does.
it's not going to catch up to the end of the manga. This will not receive a second season because they fundamentally altered the anime from the main story. You couldn't finish the way they did.
Ouch. Okay.
So yeah, that's that. That's your anime news for the week ending April 12, 2020.
Wait, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, normally you kind of go on for a bit, so...
There's nothing else? Literally?
Yeah,
no other news?
No.
It's just coronavirus?
Yeah.
That's it?
You know what? You guys want some tea?
I could go tea.
I'm going to make some tea.
Can we have
Tea and chocolate?
Cake?
Oh, we could have cake.
We could have
Can we
cake.
have cake?
I think we
Can
have
like
cake.
like a Hokkaido tea time or something.
Oh, I'd be down for that.
May as well. It's not like we've got anything else to do.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
not
like
we can leave the
this
house.
segment still has like another 10 minutes to go, and we're like, I mean,
Well, I'm going to get some tea.
yeah, sounds good.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
That's a lot of anime.
Oh, so many.
Spring anime.
Spring is here, a spring is here. Life is Skittles and life is beer. I think the loveliest time of the year is the spring.
I always look forward to spring.
Don't you?
Yeah, so do I.
Of course
You know
do.
what is going? But you know about this year. Everyone is freaked out about coronavirus and what happens in spring.
Hay fever.
Yes, and also asthmatics get set right off by all the by the allergies, don't they? And
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. I wonder if Kenny's going to be back anytime soon. Like, he did say he'd bring tea.
hey, Kenny, where are you?
The birdies all try and hide.
All right.
But they still go for peanuts.
One sugar and milk, please.
Wow, this suddenly
Pretty
got very
awesome.
unprofessional, didn't it?
Well, we're in isolation. We're all going a little bit stir crazy, and
Yes, we are.
are we?
Quick, come back.
Hello.
All right, thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Nice tea, thank you.
Yeah, good
Jasmine.
cuppa, good cuppa.
I'll leave mine
So-
here to cool down.
Now, this new spring anime season, we of course have to start off with the short form anime, as we usually do. And
Oh,
That's it. That's it. That's the short form anime. There is no
There's-
short form anime of note this year, this season.
No short forms.
There is one to do with like an old grandpa. I haven't been able to find anywhere to watch it.
So
So-
maybe this will come later. onto
Yeah,
the
there's
podcast.
actually just been none
Wow.
of note that we can actually get hold of outside of Japan.
That's kind of a shame.
It is. So let's get on to the main ones. This season will go pseudo-alphabetical because we're not including definitive objects like the. So that means eighth son, are you kidding me?
Yes.
Comma, the.
I like going alphabetical.
Let's just
keep
This
doing
one
that.
is- and this was a good place to start, actually.
It really
so
was.
this one's called The Eighth Son. Are you kidding me?
I am.
Summary is Ichinomiya Shingo, a 25-year-old company man, so like a salary man,
Yeah, essentially.
falls asleep while eating dinner. He wakes to see a succulent steak in front of him in a fancy ballroom, unknown to him.
And he seems a bit younger than he was
Previously,
a
a bit
minute
shorter.
ago. Yeah.
Bit shorter.
Yeah.
He's lost
He has been isekai'd as like an 8-year-old.
I think five or 6 year old.
5-year-old. So
And
he
this has
seems
happened to a couple of people before.
And he learns that like the boy that he's been isekai'd as, was born as the youngest child of a poor noble family living in the sticks. Having no administrative skill, he can't do anything to manage the vast land his family has. Fortunately, he is blessed with a very rare talent.
He's
of
super
magic.
OP.
He's a magician.
Ooh.
He
And,
can use magic.
Yes, he is super OP apparently.
I mean, yeah,
love that.
that
Come
is-
on, it's the isekai
It's
trope.
a staple of
Look,
isekai, and you know what?
This is generic isekai at its most generic.
Okay, but you
I
know
do
what?
like it though.
This one has like the benefit of treading that kind of same old path, but with its own.
It's got its own
Flair,
sort of
would you
flair,
say?
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind this.
It actually feels like someone took Wise Man's grandson from last year. Was that?
Yeah. Or
And
what was it like? Wise man's grandchild.
Grandchild, yeah.
When it could have been, philosopher's grandson, which
Yes.
sounds so much freaking better.
But yeah, it seems like someone looked at that exact anime and thought to themselves, what if I did something like this,
But
with
good.
a bit more of a grounded sense of world building and some restraint?
Yeah.
It's interesting because we see where he was before he was isekai'd.
We also see his face.
Yeah, it's not like a afterthought or like a series of like images and then like nothing else. We get to see his life.
Okay, but we also didn't see the truck hit him, so did he dream of the truck hitting him and
Well,
that's what is
We
him?
believe he dies of overwork.
Yikes!
Which is has been a very common problem in Japan for many decades.
So, like metaphorically, he was hit by truck-kun.
He was hit by the spiritual equivalent of truck gun.
We
overwork.
also get a glimpse of where he ends up ahead in the series. He's doing something cool with his magic, not like fighting a dragon or something. He's using it to create infrastructure.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
And then he teleports back home to his harem.
Yes,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like he has any kind of male support on this. It's all cute females, so it's that same old kind of
I
isekai.
think there's
tropes.
one guy,
There-
but he's
Oh
non-threatening.
yeah, his name's Reinhard, I believe.
Yeah,
He's the guy
the
that
butler or-
Rainford. He said that he's going to teach him because when he's because we see him first when he gets isekai'd as a 5-year-old.
Yes.
No, we don't. We see him first as a 15-year-old leveling the ground, but then we see him
as a
as
kid.
when he's first isekai'd and he meets Reinford, who
Yeah,
will teach him how to harness his magic abilities.
This anime it's not going to be memorable, but it is a great diversion for the time
Yeah,
being,
yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
it looks like it'll be entertaining.
It is also done by 2 studios working together for this, which
Oh.
is a bit different. It's by Shinai Animation and Synergy SP. Shinai you'd recognize from Master Takagi and pretty much all of the Doraemon movies.
Oh.
That's kind of their bread and butter. And
No, that actually kind of explains some of the animation, in fact.
yeah, and not coronavirus.
How do we
Synergy
know?
SP did Initial D, like the 4th and 5th stage of that, and all the Beyblade series for some reason. So it's a very weird combination because that neither of them have kind of done the isekai genre before.
No, that kind of explains the glowy magical effects, though, if you guys have watched any Beyblade before.
Yeah, we have. And it's from a light novel. We're going to get 12 episodes of this, and it airs on Crunchyroll pretty much exclusively worldwide. I haven't been able to find any other regional group who's doing it, and that's on Thursdays at 9 p.m. in Japan.
I'm looking forward to seeing how this
Yeah.
unfolds.
No, I'm definitely keen to give this maybe 3, maybe 6 episodes if it grabs us, and see how it go. But the next one, which I said I wouldn't say, is Appare Ranman. Now, this is... I didn't know what to think of this when I saw the fan art, and having now seen the first episode, I am so on board with this.
I haven't been able to hit this one up yet, so tell me all about it.
Yeah,
Well,
tell us.
Appare Ranman is a historical comedy adventure. And this is set at the end of the 19th century, so in the 1800s, late 1850s, 70s. And essentially, after a mishap, the brilliant but socially inept engineer Sorano Appare and the shrewd but cowardly samurai Ishiki Kosame find themselves drifting on a boat from Japan to America.
Oh, that's a bit of a
thing.
bit of a way to go.
Broke, the two decide to compete in the Trans-America Wild Race to win the prize and return to Japan.
Oh.
The two battle crazy rivals, outlaws, and the great outdoors itself. The great outdoors.
Sounds
And
great.
They race through the Wild West from the starting line at LA to the finish line in New York in the steam-powered car they build.
Oh my gosh. What's
This
this car
is-
look like?
It looks like someone took a boat and turned it into a car, like a paddle
Oh.
boat. It's bonkers. It's Wacky Races, the anime edition.
Oh, anyone?
I can
Oh,
see
anyone out there
Astrolite on
remember
this thing
Wacky
in my head.
Races?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that
Really?
show.
This is,
never
if you've
saw it.
seen...
Oh my
what?
goodness,
I
you
never
didn't.
saw Wacky Races.
We're gonna have to do her and educate
We're going to have
later.
to do her and educate. Oh my god.
I'd like to. I'd
Oh my-
like to.
oh
be
my
educated.
Hestia.
Basically, it was each episode was a race between all these different characters. Like, one was a car, looked like the Flintstones, but manned by Cousin It with clubs. One was
Oh.
sort of like a car which was half tank, manned by soldiers who would shoot their tank at people. One was full of like 10 or 12 midget mobsters throwing dynamite at everyone. One was like a stereotypical villain. It was
Yeah,
great.
and he had his dog Muttley, who just
Yes.
had that...
Oh, I
That's
remember. I
Muttley.
know Muttley.
Yes.
I know that laugh.
That's where he's from. Now, this
Ah.
was a
Possibly
this
in
was a
Muttley.
Hanna-Barbera production, so you had guest stars. The Flintstones did appear in an episode of One Races.
Hey.
So did our favourite Mystery Machine crew.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
there is a crossover episode
with Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. They try to unmask the main villain and realize that Muttley was the main villain all along.
And then things
Muttley.
just go back
Yeah.
to being the normal.
The
But
main,
so this is an anime of basically.
yeah.
Ah.
If you've seen Redline and the crazy designs for those vehicles, it's those style of designs where every vehicle is individual. It's beautiful.
Steampunk Redline. I'm so
Yeah.
happy.
Appare is very much an 1800s version of Senku from Dr. Stone. He's very mechanically minded, technologically
Nice.
savvy. He was importing books into Japan on technology and so on that they wouldn't normally allow in. So he's clearly, very focused on that, and he has that sort of, aloof, I'm going to do what I want to do sort of attitude. It doesn't
like
matter.
that.
Yeah. He's one interesting thing that seems to have bothered some people online in regards to this is that Appare is wearing a style of makeup, and Appare's a boy. That is actually to do with his heritage and the culture of late 1800s Japan. He has two sort of red circles around the edges of his mouth.
Ainu?
Yeah. And there is, I believe he is Ainu, yeah. Yeah.
You
There you
know,
go then.
So,
that is really cool.
yeah, there's a lot of thought that's been put into the character design. The artwork-wise, it's not like... actually, this is something I want to say about this season. So we're very much used to seeing the Kyoto animation, hyper shiny look, which, Kyoto introduced everyone that went to copy. Looks like everyone's willing to now just do their own thing. We're seeing a lot more anime this season, which is not hyper shiny, which
Yeah.
is, it is beautiful and it is subtle. And this is one of them. Like, you're not going to see lens flare or, ridiculous shine from the eyes, which is non-existent. You're going to see beautiful quality artwork of different styles across
good.
all these shows. It's really good.
I'm keen.
But Appare is airing on quite a lot, actually. So Anime Lab and Funimation, you can get both the sub and there's going to be a simul dub. Just be aware that all dubs this season are delayed.
Yeah,
This
of
is just because they can't get the actual cast into the studios in America. It's also appearing on Wackanim throughout Europe on all of their channels, Hulu, and Yamato Animation in Italy. So I've only just found these guys. Yamato Animation are a YouTube-based broadcaster. You have to subscribe to the channel, and it's location blocked to Italy, but you can watch all of the season's animes through Yamato Animation through YouTube.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So everyone in Italy who's on lockdown, who's isolated, they can...
Alternatively, Crunchyroll as well is in Italy as well now, so they've got their full catalogue there. So
Wonderful.
anytime I say Crunchyroll, it's going to be worldwide.
That's a great idea for a lockdown. Watch some anime about building like disastrous steampunk cars and don't get ideas.
Well, people have already been getting ideas. Have you seen YouTube? The amount of makers on YouTube just making bonkers stuff. Like Colin Furs. Like,
Oh, Colin Furs did not need any encouragement.
that man scares me.
I love that man so
He's
much.
amazing.
Okay, next, let's go back into history a bit and with art.
Yes.
I like
Arte?
I think it's Arte.
Arte?
Arte.
Arty?
A-R-T-E.
Yeah, let's say Arte.
Artsy.
This is slice of life, historical
it's
drama, and seinen, and it is set, I believe, in like
In
the Florence during the
Firenze.
The Renaissance.
the Renaissance. Yeah. So this I saw a preview for this last season, and I was really excited. And
I mean, you said there are no shiny animes this season, but
this is shiny, but in a different way.
this is glowy. This is pretty.
This has a beautiful afterglow to it.
So, the story follows a young girl named Arte.
Let's just go with Arte until we
Arte.
learn
Artsy.
any different.
Banksy. There's a young artist called Banksy in Florence.
Okay, I want that as an anime.
want that as an
Probably if it was Italian, in Banksia. Banksio.
Banksio.
No, I've just imagined. So Banksy, we're pretty sure lives in the UK. That's where
Yeah.
most of his art appears. Imagine an anime crossing Banksy and Doctor Who. It's a time traveling Banksy.
Oh.
I would watch that.
He defaces the pyramids. You know,
You
for
heard,
our
it,
spectacle.
you heard it here first, folks.
Yep. All this is the
Yo.
what do they call it? The realm of bright ideas, or the
Madman, call me. We will talk.
We will talk.
Okay.
Actually, Mapper. Call. Mapper, we want to
Oh,
talk.
that'd be amazing.
So Artsy is working to become an artist in the she's sort of battling gender norms and the
Yeah.
expectations of her sort of aristocracy kind of status and family. Above all of that though, Art just wants to follow her passion and become an artist. She does this with the help of a master named Leo, and we can all see just
Well, I want to make a point here. This Leo is not Da Vinci.
what?
That they made very clear by someone saying Master something with his surname during the episode when he walked down the street. So I think he is inspired by Leonardo da Vinci, but they're refusing to include people's actual likenesses so they can get away with it.
Oh, but he looks.
And I love how there are birds throughout it, and of course that's one of the things he was known for, buying birds and setting them free. Plus, I have to say, maybe thigh-high boots for men should make a comeback.
Oh, totally.
Can
Leo
we
just
try
rocks. He
and-
looks like the rock star of the art world.
I
does.
would not object to having boots which go
Yeah.
up to like my shin.
Honestly, men's boots
My
need
knees.
to get more interesting. Just because
Kind of like the old
women are
school
meant to be the
soldier stuff.
decorative sex, I feel like we need to turn that round. And
Well,
the
I mean,
dudes need to
peacock
start
males are
getting
more
pretty boots.
decorative than females.
Exactly.
It's the same for a lot of
Roosters,
species. Yeah.
Everything. Let's get back
Well, look,
into
look,
that.
this is beautiful. And let's be honest, that OP is perfect.
Oh,
for
yeah.
the
Oh,
feel.
yes.
It's beautiful. I almost feel like this will be the wholesome anime of the season,
Yeah.
aside from the mother being utterly horrible.
Okay, wholesome and educational, I feel like. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like every episode we're going to be given sort of like a different lesson on a different kind of art style from that era and how it's all set up. Sort of like a beginner's guide. So people in isolation, more ideas for you.
We did also, like, in that very first episode, you learnt about how they used wood traditionally to
Yeah.
make actual painting
Yeah.
palettes.
Using egg whites
Yeah.
and sanding it down. Yes,
It was
yes.
really cool. Leo is hilarious, though. Like,
Yeah.
such a completely deadpan guy, but he seems to have a heart of gold, even though he's such a grump. I
But
can't wait to watch more
his
of it.
foil, of course, is Art, who is just the ultimate cheerful, happy person. She
She
reminds
is.
me of what's her name? The girl from Senryu Girl, who's just got that infectious,
She also
cheerful, cannot be
reminds me
destroyed
of
smile.
The girl from what's it called? The one that's recent that's just airing with the guy with the lizard hat. The lizard
Oh,
head.
Dorohedoro.
Dorohedoro, yeah. Yeah, she sort of reminds me of her. She's always happy too.
She
Yeah,
is.
especially when she's
Well,
slicing up
well.
meat.
You haven't seen the last 3 episodes, but yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah.
It's just this looks like maximum positivity
Yeah.
kind of an anime.
And to be honest, if you're in any way or shape or form into the arts, like if you draw, you write music, whatever, you'll enjoy this. It just has the right vibe for it, I feel. It's been done by 7 Arcs, the studio. They did Dog Days, Magical Girl, Nanathea, Asura's Crying. None of these that we've really caught, but they're a bit older. And they do have quite popular fan bases, and the art style is just... I can't wait to watch more of it.
I mean, if this is anything to go by, I think we need to go back and hit on those other ones.
Yeah, now, this is another one where it's available in a lot of places. Was based on a manga, 12 episodes, Saturdays at 8 p.m, so not in the middle of the night that it starts getting released in Japan. So for those in America, that's going to be Saturday morning for you guys. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic.
I feel like Saturday Disney.
Yeah. So you can catch it on Anime Lab, Funimation, Wakanim, Hulu, Yamato Animation Italy, and Muse Asia.
Shall we talk about Studio Trigger's new
Yes.
anime?
Yes.
Yes, we shall. This is brand new Animal.
And oh my god.
Yes, it is full Trigger.
I mean, after we caught Promare in
Yes.
the cinema, and we were just like, man, this could do with a series. It's
Yeah.
like Trigger just heard us and thought, hey, we should make a series.
Well, I already knew this was in production last year. I just had no idea that this was actually an original story. Like, the other frustrating thing is we still don't know how many episodes it's going to be. We know
And
likely going to be
Probably
12.
yeah.
But
I don't know. I reckon they'll do like a full Gurren Lagann with this and just
I
make
want
it
them
crazy
to. I
big.
want 25 episodes. I do.
That'll be amazing.
I want it to go One Piece size.
Now, quick disclaimer before this. So, Brand New Animal is a Netflix exclusive. It is airing weekly in Japan, but the first 6 episodes were previewed. I think it was in March 21st they had them
That's
up
right.
online. So you could go on and have a quick look at them. So I only managed to catch the first episode then. I think you guys caught it with us, if memory serves us right.
That's right. Yeah, I was with you.
Because... yeah, you know me. I watch a lot of anime, and I keep forgetting who I watched it with.
Yeah.
So we will have to likely wait until July for this to land internationally. If it's 12 episodes, we might have to wait. I really hope not until September.
But it looks like it's all going to be dropping at once, so
Yeah.
binge-worthy.
Yeah, and this is like a color blast.
Absolutely. It's set in the 21st century, in which the existence of humanoid animals has been revealed to the world after living in darkness for centuries.
And there's some prejudice around this, of course.
Yeah, I don't see why. But anyway, one day a high school student named Michiru suddenly turns into a tanuki person, sort of like an anthropomorphic tanuki. After going to live in Anima City being a city dedicated to beastkin, so they're safe there. She meets Wolfman Ogami Shiro and goes on to investigate why she became an animal, and then gets mixed up in even stranger events in the process.
Yeah, because this city kind of like lives by the rule of the jungle, the strongest wins kind of thing.
Yeah.
The
Well,
strongest rules.
I mean, there is still like a rule of law. Like there is still police and stuff like that. But you know, let's be honest. Studio Trigger are freaking amazing. Like this is the same art style as Promare, and it's a series. It is just like this is a visual feast.
I feel like it's had 2 less espressos than Promare did, but
Yeah,
it's still
yeah.
like a fantastic feast.
Well,
It's an orgasm.
I
It's
mean,
wonderful.
someone said you've got X amount of coffee to the team at Trigger when they made Promare, and I think it was the same amount of coffee to make Promare as to make the whole series of this, and that's why it's a bit more toned down. That's
Fair
what I'm going to
enough,
say.
Fair enough.
Also, there's all this random product placement in it, and you'll notice it if you slow down like the first episode. The hilarious animal takes on modern companies such as KFC, Subway, McDonald's, Hungry Jack's, Burger King, if you're not in Australia. Or actually, I think it's only WA maybe that's left with...
that
Hungry
doesn't have
Jack's.
Burger King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Weird.
But look, it's great. And as soon as this lands on Netflix, we will be doing a big update on it because this is a must see in my opinion. This is one of the ones that you must see this
Absolutely.
season. We should talk about Diary of Our Days at the Breakwater because initially we thought this was going to be this season's Yuru camp essentially.
I haven't caught this one either. Yeah.
Because there's been a lot
Please
to
do
get
tell
through.
us.
Well, essentially, this is a slice of life comedy school sign-in series, and the series follows Hina Tsurugi, a first-year student who moves to a town by the sea. Now, she's been there as a kid before, like for trips, and she's got friends from when she stayed there, but she hasn't seen them in like a decade. So she's more of an indoor kid. She wants to be part of the crafts club. She enjoys things like arts and crafts. but she is then suddenly thrown into the world of fishing when an older student, Yuki Kuroiwa, invites her to be a part of the school's fishing club. Now, invite is the wrong word.
Coerce?
Blackmails.
Oh.
So she
is
helps.
this club going to be shut down?
Yes.
Oh. and there
Unless they
hardly
get
anyone
one
in it.
hotshot member to sign up.
Yeah.
One reluctant member.
Yeah, what a surprise. We've got all of the very obvious things. She essentially, so she's watching a girl on a pier moving backwards and forwards and thinking that she's about to fall over and collapse. So she dashes out there to look after her, just to make sure she doesn't fall in the water. Turns out she's moving left and right to, move the fishing line
lure.
and the lure to get things. So she gets her to take over for her and teaches her how to do it. And it's really quite cute. But then she pulls up an octopus.
Oh.
Yeah. And she...
Tentacles.
yes, tentacles. Hina is not good with critters at all.
I mean,
bugs,
I can
fish,
imagine-
anything.
Oh, really?
Anything living, unless it's big. She seems to freak out about.
I mean,
She's-
I could imagine being confronted if I had an octopus in front of me that's live and
Yeah.
I would. I mean, they're amazing creatures, but I
did
would
once
still.
hear a story from my high school of like a sort of a weekly food fight that happened until someone brought an uncooked octopus in their lunchbox and flailed it around like a warhammer.
What?
Oh,
Where?
This was like a school rumor.
I was
and it
going to
was
say, you
fantastic.
country kids
Oh
are
my
bloody strange.
We have to
God.
make our own fun down there.
Yeah, this has got 12
Wild
episodes
West.
for it. And as I said, I did think it was going to be a Eurocamp fishing edition. It is not.
No?
No, it does have comfy aspects to it, but it's definitely more down that school club style
Okay.
anime series. Like, not like, I mean, I know Eurocamp is a club anime series, but it's also a slow anime. This is not a slow anime.
Oh.
So this is...
So they have action scenes involving fishing then?
They do. They
I
do.
can see it
They
now.
do.
Is this going to be like that Saki Mahjong one where there's like glowing stuff whenever they go
It's
fishing?
not the Yu-Gi-Oh equivalent of fishing.
I lay down this fishing lure.
Yeah,
Leave it in attack formation.
It's another classic story of a student being dragged into joining a club they weren't intending to join. It's funny and it is educational on fishing as well.
Oh, cool.
But Kyle, will they go to the nationals of fishing?
No, they weren't.
I
Also-
wonder if that is a possibility. Like, can you sport? You can
There is
sport
fishing
fish, but
sport. I've got a mate whose housemate at the moment is at home and he likes fishing. So he's got a video on his Facebook at the moment where he walks in on his mate who's sitting super close to the TV with a fishing reel action thing for his computer, and he's going, "I'm fishing."
I used to like
cool.
when I was in high school. I used to have like a fishing game, like one of those handheld, similar to a Game Boy, but
it have
a lot
like a
less. Yes,
reel
it
on
had
the
a
side of it?
reel. That was
Oh.
a good game, actually. I didn't think it would be that as good as it was, but it was actually really good.
But like, do they have sort of like competitive sports TV shows, like with the crazy music and then the commentator?
So.
Welcome back to the river. It's a smashing day here for some fishing.
Maybe during the Olympics. I don't know.
Is that what Rex Hunt was about?
No, Rex Hunt was him just going around catching stuff and eating it. Like, he'd
No,
be
no,
out
he-
on his
No,
boat.
he'd
He'd
kiss
kiss
it
the fish.
first.
Oh, he'd kiss the fish.
And then
Oh,
he'd
that's
let
going
it go.
back a ways. That's like
Yeah.
early
Remember,
90s.
and
showing our
remember,
age.
just to go on a little tangent, remember Full Frontal and Eric Banner doing his Rex Hunt impersonation?
I do
He,
not.
and he wined and dined the fish. He took it up a level. He didn't only catch it, he really proper kissed this fish. Oh my
Dating a
god.
fish. Oh god.
It's so good.
Right.
That's majestic.
Seems like, look, this anime's got beautiful landscape artwork, definitely to note there. Seems like each episode also ends with a haiku, and the ending theme is sung by the cast. It's quite cute.
That sounds
So,
adorable.
lovely.
Yeah, you can catch this on Anime Lab, Funimation, Wakanim, and Muse Asia on Tuesday, 10 p.m. Done by Doga Kobo, which, if I remember correctly, have done quite a lot of shows we've seen and just kind of, jumped over or missed. I'm sure I had some notes. That's right. They did Yuri, which is the one about the girls in the class. New Game, Tada Never Falls in Love.
Ah, yes.
They also did some other ones to do with country stuff as well. So
These are familiar, yes.
yeah.
Looks like the next one we've got is another detective.
Yes.
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 Fugou Keiji.
Is
Balance
would you say
Unlimited.
that this one is this season's Sherlock? Or?
I feel like this is more this season's Batman.
Yeah, I quite like
Kind of,
the
yeah.
look of this one. Detective Daisuke Kande has no problems using his own fortune, Batman, to solve crimes, even if he assesses human lives based on their financial worth. Okay.
Yep.
Compassionate Harukato sees all life as sacred and is sickened by Daisuke's materialistic ways. Can they stop butting heads and overcome their opposing worldviews for the sake of solving the toughest crimes in the precinct? I think that on an ethical level, I hope they do.
They probably
they.
So when you first watched
Wow.
this, I thought that this was going to be sort of like Babylon, or kind of like the Ghost in the Shell standalone complex series, but minus the cyberpunk, where it was just going to be cops solving cop-like problems. Like in the first episode, there's a bomb threat, right?
Yeah, it looks like, there's all these interconnecting little stories. Like there's some criminals trying to hold up a jewelry store.
Yeah.
There's essentially the prince of an Arabian prince from a country called Aruba
Is like having a car show there where he's like showing off his like expensive cars. And then this bloke just appears out of nowhere.
Yep.
He has glasses that can scan things, and he says it's like, if any property is damaged, give whoever it belongs to double its worth.
Oh.
Yeah.
And he has
That's hectic.
an AI in his glasses and a microphone in his earring.
And he's also got a butler as well. We're not sure if this is a Jeeves sort of situation, like
Or if it's a
Or
Watari.
or Jarvis. Is it Jeeves or Jarvis? That's the question, isn't
Could
it?
be Watari.
Is it a human or is it an AI? We don't know, but he just seems to have an unlimited budget to just solve crimes
And
in his own insane way.
That's the thing. That's the balance unlimited part of the name. Appears to be due to the new detective, Daisuke Kanbei, essentially being Bruce Lee with an unlimited account balance. So I don't know how
questionable ethics.
Well, yeah, I mean, each episode also ends with a costs incurred throughout the episode by Kanbei as well, and a running total.
So it's sort of like Epic Mealtime, where they like have the running total of the calories.
Yeah.
Or sort of like the end of Furi last time, where they had the sort of the chat covering what happened at the end of each episode.
I like that. That's so funny.
I love little bits like that.
The soundtrack is pretty like jazzy, and the OP suggests the underground crime culture of money and women are a core part of the series, which they definitely seem to
It
be.
reminded me a bit of that other anime, Gangster, a bit of an adult one, but similar kind of thing.
Then you get the women.
Also, we do have to say that Kanbei has his own soundtrack.
Every time he enters a room, there have been things like that online saying, if you could have a song that plays every time you enter a room, this guy took that seriously.
Yeah.
What song would you guys have play every time you come into a room?
Haven't you heard? I'm Sakamoto. I don't know.
Depending on what sort of image I wanted to purport.
I get knocked down. Well, I get up again. There we go.
I think it'd be pretty cool to have like everyone. Imagine that as like a a mediocre superpower. Whenever you step into the room, the opening bars of Gustav Holst's Mars Bringer of War starts to play in everyone's head.
Oh, wow, that's classical.
Can you imagine that?
Scary.
Low-level psychic power where you just push
Useless
music.
superpower. That's
and
a
it's like, okay, so do you guys hear that? No. Do you?
You just look at them dead in the eye and go, no, I do not
hear that at all. So let's get on to the last one of our first segment, and this is Kakushigoto. This is beautiful, and
I love this one.
This is going to be fun.
It's kind of like this.
Sorry, I should go back and actually tell you where you can watch the show, shouldn't I?
Yes.
So, The Millionaire Detective Balance Unlimited, or Fugou KJ Balance Unlimited, crime mystery, 11 episodes, not 12.
No.
Airs on Friday at 12:55 a.m. in the morning, so 1 a.m. in the morning. On there, it's from a novel. Catch it on Anime Lab, Funimation, and Wakanim, and obviously, I'm sure we'll hear from several other connections to Funimation to where they will end up.
Wonderful.
And by Cloverworks, which is that subsidiary of A1 Pictures.
Oh, cool.
So, Kakushigoto.
Kakushigoto. This is slice of life comedy shonen, and I think Coco, you had the perfect line to describe it.
I feel like it's reverse Ao-chan.
It is. So if you might have caught the semi-short form, like 12-minute series.
Ao-chan can't study because she's constantly disrupted by her father, who is a very famous author of erotic manga. And this guy, it's
the same situation, but it's reversed in a way.
He's got it's really sweet. So he has got a young daughter called Hime, which is which means princess. It's so sweet.
Actually, on that note, just quickly, the anime's title is the name of the father. It's also a pun on the phrase "my father's secret." His name is.
Oh wow!
I
That's
like
really
that.
there's puns throughout this entire
Clever.
thing.
And this guy, Kakushigoto, he draws vulgar manga that a lot of people are aware of and quite enjoy. He has to hide this fact from his young daughter so that she isn't exposed to its mature content, and he has to really hide it because this is how he makes his money.
We're talking like leaving home in a suit, going to a store, getting changed, and then walking the rest of the way.
This anime is very pretty. It's got kind of like a very unique look. Its style sets it up. Sheesh, what an awkward story.
Yeah,
It's
I love
just-
the
No.
title of the best known, like the one that everyone reads, Balls of Fury. Doesn't that
Yeah.
remind you of a Steel Panther?
Yeah,
album?
it does. It does.
Yeah, and it's just so sweet. I love how he at one point they talk about how he how he gets how artists have to draw when they're comfortable, and they have this sort of thing that they follow to be comfortable, and one of his things was to draw naked.
Yeah, and they were like, "We can't take a picture of you in here for this. That's uncomfortable." The art style is quite beautiful, and it seems somewhat different. I don't know if it's the line work or the color palette, but it feels a little different.
It's so
And it
it's
really
cute.
connects to it. It's almost like a dreamy sort of vibe to it.
Yeah.
And one thing I did love, the opening and ending themes are just so uplifting. They're just so happy.
That's the thing, though. It's happy and uplifting, but for a story like this of making sure your daughter doesn't see the naughty things you produce, it's just...
Yeah, especially when it's your entire
I don't know if
career.
I can watch this.
Yeah, you might struggle a bit with it.
Yeah.
Now, this is done by Studio Ajiado. They are the ones behind Ascendance of a Bookworm and that film
Yay.
7 Days War, which we're waiting for the Blu-ray release of, which I can't wait to watch that. It's amazing. Thursday nights at 11:30 p.m. in Japan it airs. 12 episodes of that are coming, adapted from a manga, and you can catch this on Anime Plus Asia. Anime Lab and Funimation both are featuring an English dub of it as well. And Wakanim, of course, are also doing all of their spots in Europe. That's where we're going to leave the first section. We'll be right back to tell you the second half of the shows in just a sec.
Wi-Fi radio. That's a lot of anime.
Oh, there's so many.
Spring anime.
Spring
Yes.
is here.
I love
Spring is here.
Oh, and it's going to get copyright claimed, and I don't mind.
Well, he doesn't mind, does he?
He doesn't mind if people use it, but I just want him to get the money. More people need to know about poisoning pigeons in the park.
It's not a crime. No. Is it? It is. I'm pretty
it's-
sure. it is.
Legally speaking, it is a bit
Maybe not
criminal.
where he's from.
Well, he's from America.
Yeah.
If any of our American listeners are tuned in, can you find out if your state makes it illegal to poison pigeons?
It's a new anime. Is it wrong
Yeah.
to poison pigeons in a park?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would watch that.
Is this federal or state law? Please let
Yeah,
us know.
yeah.
We'd love to.
Right.
Love to find out.
I'm super excited to talk about this one.
Yes.
Listeners, now
I'm listening.
I had no idea what this was about initially because the actual script description for it is very vague. It talks about a world without music. It's not a world without music. That's completely wrong. This is done by Mappa, which immediately gets me interested because almost everything Mappa do, I love.
Yeah, they are pretty.
Passionate.
Yeah.
They're pretty quality.
So, Listeners is set in a post-apocalyptic future that has been torn apart by shadowy creatures known as the Earless. Now, keep in mind everything I say because everything is music-related. So, Earless, unable to listen to music, for instance. Humanity's heroes are the players who pilot mecha, known as equipment, to battle these inhuman enemies. Echo is a young tech head who dreams of working with a player and their equipment, going so far as to build a makeshift mecha of his own. But he long since resigned himself to life among the scrap heaps that now cover so much of the world. That is until he discovers an amnesic girl named Mew, who has a headphone port in her back, the sign of a player.
Yes. So a lot of the story elements of this I've seen in other places. Finding the beautiful superpowered girl in a junkyard, just Alita Battle Angel. Anyone?
Dimension W. This is
exactly
yeah.
yes. It's a whole bunch of this is stuff I've seen before, but it is nailing it in its sort of its own way. And you say that like he's built himself a mech warrior. The first time you see it, it's an amp. It's like it's a speaker that you plug your guitar into to play songs.
Yeah.
But it turns into a mech warrior. We have seen mech warriors powered by the power of love and the power of friendship and the power of spirit. Now we have a mecha that is powered by the power of wubs.
I actually greatly approve of that.
And to that end, Kenny. This anime, like, it nails its soundtrack. The music for
I was going to say, the OP and the soundtrack throughout it might be my favorite this season. I don't care. I'm playing it. It's everything Britpop and Britrock.
And it looks like it's set in a kind of a British sort of environment.
So, firstly,
I love the F symbol, the F symbol, which is on the top of the...
Yeah, it's like a big statue. Yeah.
So, the naming conventions and the world definitely has a UK value. The town is called Liverchester. Liverchester was once the centre of the world, much like Liverpool and Manchester were the centre of rock and roll during the 60s and 70s.
Oh, snap!
Box amplifier branding, guitar tubes, Marshalls on board, Gibsons on board. There's a lot of big names on board with this. Mew is voiced by Rie Takahashi.
Hey, our girl.
And this just... To whoever does a cover of this for this season.
Get onto it, YouTubers.
Yeah.
But yeah, this...
HJ Freaks.
Yes, please. But yeah, this anime is definitely worth the time of day.
Yeah.
Yes,
Look, I mean, animation really captures that dystopian feel of the world. The environment has a great level of detail to it. But this is something I noticed, and I think this is on purpose. The character art style is almost a bit flat. You don't see, like, you know how, like, a lot of Mappa shows, you'll see, like, a lot of detail in, like, the cheekbones and stuff that. They've purposely seemed to have gone for a flatter look to characters' faces. But you have a look at their outfits. So steampunk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it looks like looks like that sort of stuff about them, their character, more stands out when the music begins to play, when she slips the thing into her back and into the robot, and like everything starts exploding and they start fighting the giant monsters.
Also, you know how we were talking about the power of wub?
Yep.
It's
like the power of gun.
Well, a power of gun, yes.
The power of guns and wub.
There's also a couple of other things. The bar is called Oasis.
Hey.
Yep. The main character is called Echo, after like a guitar echo.
Are we about to... Is there going to be like a superhero team in this world called the Foo Fighters?
Oh my god, I want that so much. I want that so much.
No, actually, no. Wait, I know what's happened. The world is in ruins and it's a post-apocalypse because this is what happens if the Foo Fighters did not fight the Foos.
I feel like the Asian Kung Fu generation can slip in there.
Yes!
AKG need to be in there somewhere.
I mean, if you're like riding on all these different sort of like references to classic rock, you got to go all out.
Yeah, you do. Now, if you are a musician, you probably will notice this, especially if you've ever had a Tube Fusion amp or a Tube amp. The thing Mew has around her neck, and a lot of the things that they were looking for are tubes, and these are like classic vacuum tubes that were placed inside amps, and you can still get them today.
It's a series of tubes?
It's a series of tubes, and that would help create that classic, Brit rock distortion sound, that overdrive rock. And
that kind of
my
buzz.
My amp is a tube amp. Like the last 3 amps I've had are tube amps, and it creates just such a great sort of grunge vibe to it. It's great.
Nice.
Look, this is going to be on a lot of places. It's an original series, completely original idea. We know it's 12 episodes. It airs on Saturday morning just before 2 a.m., 1:55 a.m., and you can catch it on Anime Lab and Funimation, which will both have a dub and a sub. So, and Wackanim and Hulu, of course. Genres: music, mecha, action, sci-fi. It's
pretty dynamic. It's pretty diverse. I
It's
think we should
crazy.
give it a look. You guys should all give it a look.
We definitely should.
Yep.
Now, have you ever wondered what would happen if you fell inside a dating game?
Oh.
Yes.
I
would destroy everything.
What if you weren't the main character?
I would destroy everything.
Well, I mean, the next question
literally.
doesn't need an answer because what if you were the villain?
I would I mean, no, if I was the villain, I would contemplate my surroundings and see if I could use them to my favor in
I
a
mean,
sort of a
pulling
last
strings from
Yes,
the
pulling
background.
strings from the shadows. Having other people for me who would destroy
What
everything.
if?
Oh.
What if that was your modus operandi?
What
To be the villain, to destroy everything.
Oh.
Would you?
I'd be
Because
happy
you're
with
meant to.
Yes,
but
because
what
I
if
was
that means that?
if I was meant to, hell no.
So this is My Next Life
Anarchic, I
as
like
a
it.
villainess. All routes lead to doom. Doom. And
I like the
this
way
is
they
so good.
start this off.
They do.
This is good. So, this one.
This is like first things first. Not from a manga, from a light novel.
Oh, cool.
As
So,
well.
8-year-old Katerina Claes is the only daughter of a duke, living her life peacefully and without incident until she hits her head on a rock and remembers that she is not actually the duke's daughter. She's been isekai'd.
Yep.
She used to be an otaku who died on her way to school, probably due to truck-kun, after spending the previous night playing Fortune Lover, her favourite otome game. After noticing her current surroundings seem oddly familiar, she discovers she's been reincarnated into the world of Fortune Lover as the Villainess.
Now, if you don't know what an otome game is, otome is a dating game for girls where it's one girl with a male harem and they can pursue one of the boys.
Yeah, it's like these are your selections. They
So
kind
it's,
of fit the role of the different kind of like stereotypical
Is it
like
normally
anime protagonist that
is
you
it
could go for and become lovers with.
Is it normally like PG?
No, they vary.
Okay.
They vary.
Okay.
Like, I mean,
This one seems like one of them that's
essentially,
PG.
An otome game is a story-based video game that is targeted towards women. Generally, one of the goals besides the main plot goal is to develop a romantic relationship between the female character and one of the male suitors.
Okay.
The male equivalent is otoge.
You want to go for like the best possible ending. It's like there's multiple endings there.
And unfortunately, the endings for the villainess usually involve her winding up dead or exiled. So Katerina decides to use her knowledge of the game and its roots to avoid any bad situations. But is it even possible for the villainess to reach a good ending?
That's debatable.
Because it's so interesting the way they do that. Because like when we first start like watching this anime, we meet her as Katerina, as the villainess,
And she's a brat.
She's a spoiled brat who's
really
complaining
is.
about the
And
fact that her ribbon is the wrong color because she
I
changed
know.
her mind and didn't tell anyone. And seriously, it's just like, oh my god, someone's
And it's like you can
kid.
see her and just think, yeah, you are just going to become a class act
But
when you're
the-
older. And then
yeah.
she hits her head.
Yeah, and then we watch her remember, and we're as confused. I like the way they did this. We're as confused as she is, and then we start piecing it together with her.
Yeah.
And we're both of us watching the anime and her are sort of realizing she's in a game
at the same time. Yeah.
and this is what she is. She's the villain character.
I would like to say that it was very very overly dramatic opening before making its way through. I really enjoyed
it's
that.
so dramatic.
But I know we've already said it, but she was definitely attacked by a lurking truck-kun. He was
Yeah,
sitting
she was
there waiting for her to
17.
come down the stairs.
Yeah, literally, it's got to be truck-kun. I think that they aren't mentioning it because they know that we
They know we know.
You guys know we know, don't you?
You know that
Yeah.
a truck is the most common way to transport someone to an isekai
Yeah.
world.
I actually
Because,
really love
because
this.
they're delivering isekai worlds in the back of the truck.
Isekai
and-
delivery.
Yes.
Yes.
There's plenty of boys for her to romance in this, but one of them's a male Syndia, like the,
Oh,
you know,
he's great.
It's not like I
don't
love you or anything.
Yeah, it is hilarious.
It's like, yeah, each of them sort of fall into sort of like that, a different kind of personality archetype. And she goes through each of them. She knows each of the roles that the main heroine goes for. Oh, and that's the bit I am waiting for when she actually meets who the player character of the game is, because you see her sort of altering the story a bit as she goes along. She isn't the bratty little princess, and she isn't playing that part at all. She's changing reality a bit, so you have to wonder, what will happen by the end of this?
So this is by Silverlink. They did Masamune-kun's Revenge, Furi last season, Bakuto Test and Kokoro Connect, which was the body swapping one. This is airing on Sunday morning at 1:30 a.m. 12 episodes, and it is on ADN if you're in France, or Crunchyroll everywhere else.
Wonderful.
So, very good.
Yeah, give this one a watch. It's pretty funny.
It's hilarious. I love her internal counsel of herself.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to command a bunch of adventurers?
I would destroy everything. Also,
I actually wasn't prepared for that. Well done, Kenny.
Well done. So, Shachibato, President, it's time for battle.
Shachibato.
Now, this is based on a game, and typically, whenever something's based on a game, it generally ends up being bad. But this actually looks a little interesting. I'm not going to say it's going to be great, but it's definitely not going to be bad.
You're alone. You're alone. You're alone. You're alone. You're alone. Sorry, do you agree with him, Kenny? You're alone. You're alone.
Okay.
Wow, thanks, guys.
This setting, it's
I just heard the almond jump to conclusion. Sorry, continue.
It's kind of a rush setup, and the exposition comes in thick and fast.
Maybe we should let Kyle
tell us
about
the
it.
story.
Okay.
Come on,
So
Kyle.
it's a fantasy world where adventuring companies are created to explore dungeons and earn money. So it's based on a popular strategy game. Minato has become the new president of the Kibao company. In order to be a good presidente and help the company grow, he must lead his party of adventurers through the gate, the big magical gates, and collect Kirakuri, a type of energy that is extremely valuable and fundamental to the city of Gate Pier, which is such a bad name. However,
the city looks cool, though. I mean, I have a weakness for Magitech in fantasy settings.
However, there are other companies vying for the chance to gather this Kirakuri, and he has to compete with them. So, he's got to prove that he's, good at what he does. Now, I'm not going to say this is going to be amazing, because it isn't. Like, let's not beat around the bush.
Yes.
But it's the character design isn't really anything to talk about. Apart from the main guy having a ponytail, I don't think I've seen a male character with a ponytail for a long time.
So I picked up from his voice alone that was meant to be a dude, and it's not that I just assume anyone with long hair is a woman, but the ribbon in his hair was what put me off.
I know, it was like he had Harui Suzumiya's ear bits.
I kind of liked the perspective this game is taking. It's like, we aren't the superheroes charging into a dungeon. He's managing it. He manages their sort of equipment. He funds their expedition. He does a lot of sort of like the before the battle kind of stuff, which
it was often left out, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of an integral part of every RPG, but to that end, this feels like it is trying to sell me a video game, and it really, really kind of blatant.
We've seen all of this before, let's be honest, but there do appear to be some elements of steampunk, dieselpunk to some of the character designs, which I quite like. I'm not expecting anything.
When we first meet Eutoria, what do we meet of her?
You're late.
No.
Her boobs.
Yeah.
So for me, that's going to be...
No.
Yep, that's fair.
I just don't think I
feel
put my point forth well enough. Sorry, hold on.
No.
So
No.
Are you sure?
I just feel like if this had the same kind of spirit and grounding and some of the writing of our resident Buksakai anime, something with a setting like this could have been pretty interesting.
Yes.
It could have been.
Just the minute I was like, okay, that's the first thing that we meet of her.
Yeah.
No.
Look, as I said, I'm not expecting this to be massive. It's not going to be a big epic story arc.
It might change.
Only story arc is going to be save the business.
Yeah,
let's not beat around the bush here.
It's going to be a 3-episode.
Save the club that's going to
exactly.
They need one hotshot new member.
Yeah, but I will say this: this is still so much better than all the other game adaptations this season. This is the only
you are right
really good standout comparatively.
Cool.
If we're using other games as a measuring stick, the measuring stick falls quite short from most anime, but it's still at the top end of this smaller stick. C2C, the studio behind it, did Hitori Bocchi, which was from, I think, about 6 months ago. It was the anxious girl who had to make threads.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did like Hitori Bocchi.
Hitori Bocchi is very cute. If you are interested, you can catch it on Anime Lab and Funimation. It is getting a dub, and it's got Wakanim and Muse Asia. 12 episodes, Sundays, 11:30 at night.
Lovely. Okay. So, this next one,
Oh,
I absolutely love.
I
And
adore.
what's the title?
Sing Yesterday for me.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
When
Sing
all my
Yesterday for
troubles
me.
seem so far away.
Yes, this is called Sing Yesterday for Me. This is one of those
Now I
other
know that
weird
they
title
are
ones.
here to stay.
Are
I
they?
wish coronavirus
Would
would
go
go
away.
away. So
I like
this-
these updated lyrics.
Thank
Yeah.
you. They are topical. Honestly, yeah.
Look, this is. You know how we're saying it's like, we've got pretty but not over hyper brightened anime? This is one of them. And
Yes.
this feels grounded in the real world because of it.
And still the character designs set everyone apart as very, very individual. I haven't seen many people like these before.
No.
So-
Well, I got to be honest, like, one of the girls reminds me of Harui, but we'll get to that. So, after college,
yes.
Rikuo Ozomi, a boy without much ambition in life, takes on a job at a convenience store. The days pass by uneventfully for Rikuo until he meets his former girlfriend and classmate, but especially thanks to the unusual Haru Nonaka and her pet Raven.
See, I'm not
Now,
sure. Was
here's
that...
the thing. This is adapted from a manga. In the manga, they're boyfriend and girlfriend. In this
Oh.
adaptation, he never confessed to her.
Oh.
Also,
did
something
seem to be
else to
something.
keep in mind, which is different from a manga. Why? It's crow/raven. Why? Because it depends on the translation. The manga says raven, the anime says crow. They are different species. They have different behaviors. I think it is a raven based on everything I've seen.
Do they get crows or ravens in Japan?
I don't know.
I know
think
ravens
I
are
think they
quite
get
rare
crows.
here in
They definitely
Australia.
get crows.
Yeah, because we have crows here in Australia and, they have
And
ravens in the
Ravens
UK.
are really big.
They're big. Oh, they're
Ravens
so
get big and
gorgeous.
cuddly.
The way these crows or these, shall we say corvids?
Corvids.
They're the same. They're the corvid species, which has given rise
You've just totally explained to me why some of
The
the new
memes?
Pokemon are called the Corviknight.
Oh.
It's a giant steel raven. Corviknight. Corvid.
Ah,
There you go.
wicked! I did you an educate.
You did me an educate.
It's also you'll see Corvid/COVID memes around the place and murders and all that.
The murders of COVID-19.
Yeah,
Oh, dear.
Corvids.
Anyway, we'll get to
yeah,
monetized.
so-
Well, we're not monetized, so it doesn't matter.
Let's call them crows. So I love the way that these crows are drawn. They are so beautiful.
Mm.
They're drawn. I feel like they're drawn with proper heart.
They
It's-
are.
and yeah,
the sound effects they have for them too are great. They're actually quite realistic.
really good Foley.
Something I really enjoyed is that all the characters are older than high school age, and this
Yeah.
is something we
Yes.
so sorely and rarely get to see.
It's
It's
that-
also
yeah.
because it's a seinen anime. It's designed at the older demographic. So
I'm going to find this manga wherever I can, and I'm going to read all of it because
it's so good.
one of my favorite manga authors, Shimoko Kyo, who did Genshiken, also had everything else that I've read from him. For example, Yonensei, Spotted Flower, I've really loved.
And this has a
'cause
similar
it's
feel.
Quite, yeah, it does. It has quite a similar feel to Yonensei, I found, because these are adults. They're not completely sure. They're not completely optimistic. They're getting by. And that's the interesting thing, because, I mean, as enjoyable, I've probably said this before many times, but as enjoyable as the high school animes are, there's only a certain amount that I can relate to.
Yeah.
And with this is...
It's a lot more relatable.
Yeah, it's relatable.
There's actually a great line he says in it, which is, "Damn it, I want to quit life."
Yeah.
This is how, like, if you've ever had that feeling, not as in like,
As
in a
proper
depressed sort of way, just like quit and become a hermit sort of thing instead
Yeah.
of anything else.
Like
And
socialise
if you
or
do
like-
need help, please call your local mental health helpline, because that's very important, especially in times like this. But it asks a lot of questions about finding your way through life and the lies some of us tell ourselves to push ourselves forward and keep going.
And it doesn't feel like it gives us everything we need to know in the first episode as well. This is going to be a slog of
It doesn't
just-
feel like it's preachy either.
No, it
No.
feels like it's just something introspective, relatable, as you said.
It's
I like
mature.
this thing.
It's really mature.
I'm definitely looking forward to
I
seeing
really
what
only
it is.
had the one note attached to this anime, and it was, this girl has a pet crow and my jealousy cannot be understated.
I know. Wouldn't it be amazing if you just had like a murder of crows that liked you?
I want to.
You have mentioned this on several occasions about trying to find a murder of crows so you could scare people.
No, it's just I just
and then get
I
them to
want
bring
them
you shiny
to love
things.
me. Yeah, they will. I'll bring them things like nice like mints and stuff.
There was a funny Tumblr thing of like someone
And
who
they'd bring
wanted
me
to like
things.
get an entire like murder of crows and train them to talk and teach them just to say run. And then to release them.
Oh, that's amazing.
And they're just like, how many nightmares do you want to give people? All of them.
All of the nightmares.
You know what's really cute?
It spoke to me.
Recently, all the baby birds have been hatching in Australia. And it's interesting because crows in Australia, they've got the very like sort of thing. The baby crows are exactly the same except more high pitched because their little voices haven't dropped. It's so cute. Oh my gosh.
So Sing Yesterday for me is one of our picks for this season. You definitely have to check it out.
Yep,
it's
absolutely.
done by Doga Kobo, which I think we mentioned a bit earlier. They were behind Yuru Yuri, new game, Tada Never Falls in Love. You can catch it on Crunchyroll. Sorry, no. Yes. Right notes.
No,
Wrong
yes.
things. Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Crunchyroll?
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You can catch it on Crunchyroll worldwide. It airs on Sunday morning at 1:30 a.m. 12 episodes are coming of it. I hope that's enough time to cover all the manga content. If not, I'd be very surprised if this doesn't have OVAs or a movie.
Yes.
So, no.
Yes.
We do have to talk about the ever-present baseball anime.
Oh, please do.
Honestly, I found this charming.
Yeah, there's something about it, but I'm not sure.
It was going from that last anime to this one, and their very, very high-pitched voices. I gotta admit, I was a tiny bit turned off, and it's a silly thing to be turned off about.
That was something I loved about Sing Yesterday for me, is Haru's voice is a reasonable pitch. It's not
Yeah.
hyper-pitched.
It's not like
it's
anime girl.
It's
sort of
nice.
pitch.
She has a nice voice.
And then you go to this, and you're just like, oh, so that's the difference between a seinen and a high school age anime.
Yeah. Well, this is also a seinen anime.
What?
Shock horror.
Yep.
I was really surprised. I thought this would have
they're
been
in the
shonen.
last year of high school.
I don't know. Maybe sports are more popular with the older audience.
Okay.
So Sign and Sports Slice Life. This is Tamayomi Baseball Girls, and the name is literally the sticking together of the two main characters' names, Tama and Yomi. You just shove them together, and you've got a title.
They're going to the nationals together.
No, they're not. By Studio A
They
Cat,
might.
they've got nothing of note, which I've seen that we've liked. They're quite a small studio. They have done a lot of background work, like assistant, like in between scenes and stuff.
recognize that name.
Yeah, they're recent. They're a pretty new studio.
I recognize it, and there's a little bit of trepidation
Yeah,
in recognizing it. I'm not sure why.
yeah. I think it was
Something that I've
around
put
the
from my mind.
Arifureta period. It was they didn't do Arifureta, but they did. I think they did something in the same season, which we went straight away. No,
I've never actually been drawn into an anime that I just disliked.
My
And
anime list actually put up a question on social media saying, "What anime have you watched, which was horrible, but you just had to watch it?"
Yes, Arifureta.
Arifureta is ours. Look, Tamayomi is a series following pitcher Yomi Takeda, who, after a failed attempt at climbing the ladder in a junior high baseball tournament, vows off the sport, says she's not going to do it again when
It's
she
a bit
enters high
sad,
school.
that story.
It is. And it's pretty... I'm pretty annoyed at the other girls, but after reuniting with her childhood friend Tamaki Yamazaki, the only one who's ever been able to catch her special magic throw, the two head back to the sport once again. Now,
Yep, this reminded me a little bit of K-On! It's
does.
just so sweet. I'm just waiting for them to pull out the teapot and the cakes.
yeah,
I just found it charming. It
it
just
really-
charmed me, this anime. I wasn't expecting it to, but I thought it was really sweet, and their outfits are really cute as well.
Look, this is exactly what it looks like. It is a baseball anime. It's about a group of girls getting together to play baseball for their school. Their school does not currently have a baseball club.
It's some really light fluff, and it's really cute.
Yomi, the pitcher, has an amazing uncatchable ball, and she couldn't use it at all. Like, she spent years trying to
Perfecting it.
perfect this, and the catcher at the old school just refused to catch it.
The catcher wasn't a catcher.
The catcher was just there for the points, and so they
put her
they
off.
meet together and discovers she's like, oh, can you just throw as your hardest ball and I'll try and catch it. And Tama, the catcher, discovers that she's able to catch it. And it's an epic ball. Like, you know, it's...
Yeah, it's serious, isn't it?
This also has a lot of baseball lingo. I learnt a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, so did
Like, I mean, we don't really have a baseball competition in Australia, so...
Well, yeah.
But it is huge over there, as we've mentioned before. It's like...
Oh, there's a baseball anime every season.
Yeah.
Whether we mention it or not depends on the quality or whether it's worth talking about, so...
But there are plenty about...
Yeah.
And yeah, this one's cute.
It's cute. Look, it's on Crunchyroll. No, it's on Anime Lab, Funimation, and Wakanim because I can totally read what light I'm on. Wednesdays, 10 p.m. 12 episodes coming from it, adapted from a manga. Check it out if you want some cute sports activity stuff.
Yeah.
Especially we're staying inside at the
This is
moment.
cute.
Like, look, I mean, there's
think it'll make
no
you
ice hockey,
smile.
there's no AFL, there's no American football. There's, to my knowledge at the moment, no baseball as well. This might be the way we, get our hits.
Well, didn't they do the... I see what you did there.
Yes.
Didn't they recently move driving sports to game-based?
Yeah.
Which has got some really interesting
Connotations.
replays because the cars, the physics that affect the
Just-
cars are a bit different in the
just a bit.
game. And it's just... and I think, it's interesting.
We got to talk about this
Tower of-
season's Crunchyroll exclusive. Now,
Oh, okay.
Crunchyroll, we talked about this just before Christmas. Crunchyroll have organized a special agreement where they're becoming almost the license creator for a load of anime that is based on mangas and manhwa, which is the Korean manga industry.
Oh.
This is from a Korean manga. Tower of God, and because of this, I'm very excited because I'm hoping Solo Leveling gets this treatment
Well,
eventually
that's
as
unique.
well.
I only caught the first few minutes of this because I had some other things on my plate.
Yeah.
But from what I saw, this is going to be something dramatic.
Yeah, so Tower of God centers around a boy called Bam, and he has spent most of his life trapped beneath a vast and mysterious tower by the looks of it. A girl named Rachel rescues him, and they become close friends. Then Rachel decides she wants to enter the tower, and Bam manages to open the door into it as well and follow after. They then have to face challenges at each floor of this tower as he tries to find his closest companion, Rachel, who he believes made it to the top.
Okay.
Now, this is... as I said, it's Crunchyroll's new in-house, but it's from a Korean manga, and the style of storytelling is a bit different. And you'll notice that very quickly. The art style's reminiscent of Avatar, I found in particular, like Last Airbender.
Okay.
And if it is a bit more roughly drawn than Avatar, to be fair, but it doesn't take away from the show and actually kind of adds to the feel to make you feel like you're in this world, which is kind of a bit rough around the edges. On the note of the world, like this, the tower appears to be the world itself. As far as everyone has talked about it in it, I've watched the first 2 episodes now. It doesn't seem like there is a world outside the towers. The tower, the outer wall of the tower is filled with people who live in it, and then the inner wall is where this tower climbing thing takes place, and
So,
in between
like,
is transport.
There's no planet outside.
I don't
the
know. It's like it's.
Is it sort of like a wasteland that was destroyed when the Foo Fighters didn't fight the Foo?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no.
Sad
I
times.
haven't seen outside the tower, but I'm also not entirely convinced that Bam and Rachel are actually from this world. I feel like they've come from a different world and somehow ended up in the tower.
Curious.
Because of the way it's shown at the beginning.
Okay.
It doesn't feel like they come from this world. And the way they're treated, like they've got regulars, is what they term the people who regularly go to go up the tower.
Wicked.
He's termed as he's technically what they call an irregular, people from outside of the tower who have come in to join.
Okay.
So what does outside of the tower mean? We don't know. It's just going to have to
We'll
keep
have to
watching.
find out.
He's from the destroyed Sans Foo Fighter world.
Yes. This story is pretty interesting once it gets going. You need to get through the first 15 minutes, and it's going to be a little bit weird and jarring, but once you get past it, it starts rolling very quickly.
Wicked.
And there's a lot of characters introduced, and they undergo tests along the others to climb the tower. Those who fail are weeded out. This is by Telecom Animation Film. They did Lupin the Third.
Hey.
Season 4 and 5, the Fujiko Mine's Lie, Goemon's Blood Trail. They also did Orange and Chain Chronicles. They're one of the big ones. They do a lot of children's show as well. So they've definitely, Crunchyroll has went and got a decent studio on board straight away. As I said, on Crunchyroll, one of their exclusives, Thursdays in the morning at 12:30 a.m. 13 episodes,
Oh,
we believe, for this. So
Okay.
that's, it's going to be a good one.
Wicked. The next one looks interesting, actually.
This one is...
This is my jam.
I'm kind of excited for this one myself.
Yeah.
Because it's all about radio.
It is. It's called Wave Listen to Me.
So, the story. We are set in Sapporo, Hokkaido.
Mm-hmm.
Nice neck of the woods. One night, our heroine, one Minare Koda, she spills her heartbroken woes to a radio station worker that she meets while she's just out drinking. She tells like her drunken sub story of how she broke up with this guy who just left her penniless. The next day, while she's at work, she hears a recording of her pitiful grumblings being played live over the air all across the city.
Yep.
Minare just storms into the station in absolute rage, only to then be duped by the station manager into basically doing an impromptu talk show bit explaining her harsh dialogue.
Sounds great.
With just that one recording, the many eccentric facets of Minare's life begin to pull at every which direction, and she falls smack into the world of radio. She is now the disc jockey.
Now, as someone who works in radio, this immediately spoke to me in the first 10 seconds. She'd make a great late night presenter, and that seems to be what the show is all about. But she needs to slow down. She talks too fast.
Yeah, it's like...
She talks way too fast to be a radio presenter.
I hear this character, I see what she's doing, and I'm just like, have I met this person before? There's something familiar about, have I seen her in another anime or in real life?
It all goes back to that drunken night when she was chatting to the radio guy who recorded her rant in the bar without telling her. Just for the record, this is very uncool and very illegal.
Yes.
Do not do this.
Yeah.
You will be sued.
Yeah, I wondered about that, but it's just like, can't she just take them to task and rob them for all their worth?
It's not the same thing as taking photos of someone in a public place, for example.
No, you've got to... I'm pretty sure every country in the world that has defamation laws. Even though they didn't say who it was recorded of, if you record someone and someone else can figure out who that is, you can be liable for defamation without...
You need to let people know if you're...
And we've also got rules against secret recording in Australia as well, and the US has got them too. So
now, to be fair, I feel like this was just sort of like the storytelling device to sort of rope her in.
And look, I've also got to say the idea you can just throw someone on air the way they do is utterly improbable when you consider how many uni grads are scrambling for jobs. But let's be fair here.
Let's be fair.
That doesn't make an interesting story.
No, that's true. This does.
I also like the visual representation of her, how she's talking about, it starts off with her later down the track clearly doing a recording for the show and then goes back to before she started there.
And she seems to be sort of like doing a show where she's pretending she's out in the woods reading some fan mail or advice mail that she's got while facing down a bear.
Facing down a bear. The messages from listeners are great as well. It kind of harkens back to the earlier years of radio. I say earlier, not early, because this is what you'd get in the 90s on late night. It's, late night talk shows where you'd hear in the US, and we used to have them here in Australia, where people would send in letters and correspondence to it because, having a mobile wasn't very common or SMSs wasn't common. And that's how they'd get it. And it's, I'm worried about this. And then the talk show host would give you advice. It was almost like the advice column in magazines and stuff like that. I love this. This is going to be absolutely nuts. It will teach you a bit about the world of radio and how production goes, but also keep in mind that this has taken a lot of liberties. It's not exactly like this.
Maybe it's like
fun.
This in Japan.
Yeah, like you say,
that is a thought.
You say she talks really fast for what she's doing. Maybe that's kind of a style over there. We don't know.
It might be, but the key thing is having the listener being able to understand you.
Oh, actually, there was a website. I need to track it down again. It's it gives you a globe, like a full thing of the Earth with sort of like little nodes on each of the different cities. And if you shift the map to one of those nodes, it tunes you into an actual live radio station that is happening in that part of the world. I need to track this website down. I might actually see if I can throw it on Kawaii-Fi as part of this.
That sounds good to me. This is by Sunrise Studio.
Hey.
Like Cowboy Bebop, come on.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Comedy, drama, romance seinen, 12 episodes, runs Saturday mornings at 2:25 a.m. And you can get that on Anime Lab and Funimation, which is getting a dub, which I think is going to be really good. And Wackanim, of course, as well.
I mean, you say this is getting a dub. Oh, they are going to have to hire someone really talented to keep
Yeah.
up with this lady.
Very quick note before we go on to the shows which are continuing from last season and returning. Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex 2045, the upcoming 3D CG series, is landing on Netflix on April 23rd. All 24 episodes are landing at once.
Now, this one feels like it could be kind of contentious because it's a departure from the original style, and a lot of people are unhappy about that. But honestly, change can be good.
I think this will be good.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
We'll be
Open
right
mind.
back in just a moment. It seems that we have to go to Kyoto.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
That's a lot of anime.
Oh, so many.
Spring Anime.
Spring is here. Asabaring
Well.
is here.
And here we are in Kyoto.
Yes, with all of the pigeons being
Life is
poisoned.
Skittles and
Life is
life
beer. I love me some beer. I miss
Skittles are
going
good
to the pub. I really do.
Who put Skittles in their beer?
I'm just.
Oh no, you put it in vodka.
Oh.
Then you know how like you put Redskins in vodka?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Redskins all nerds and it
Yeah,
infuses the flavor.
Skittles, same sort of
I'm
thing.
looking forward to a time where we don't have to just go out for the bare
Necessities. I don't think you're qualified for that.
Oh, bear pumps.
Yes. Well, she was talking to a bear a few
Sorry.
moments ago.
Yes.
All right, let's get stuck in. Ascendance of a Bookworm, Season 2. It's
Booksakai.
back. Booksakai is back. If you didn't catch this wonderful, heartwarming story last season, it was on, which is about 6 months ago it started. Essentially, Urano Mitosu, she loves books and has an endless desire to read them. She actually wants to become a librarian. That's her
about
dream
to
job.
start.
And
isn't it?
then she gets hit by a
Truck-kun.
book full of truck-kuns.
Yeah, so she dies, and as she draws her last breath, she wishes to be able to read more books in her next life.
And so Truck-kun grants her wish, and she wakes up in a fantasy world.
Yeah, she reincarnates as a young girl called Mine. She's a frail 5-year-old living in a medieval era town. But when she tries to find something to read, she discovers books are incredibly expensive in this new world because there are no printing presses.
And, of course, literacy is also a
Pretty
problem
low.
for the peasantry.
So books are written and copied by hand, and she decides if there are no books around, she'll make them herself. And thus begins her adventure.
And this will be a continuation of their adventure. It
Yeah.
stopped at a pretty heavy point.
Pretty heavy point.
Like-
And we were expecting an OVA for it as well in the next
Yeah.
3 months
We
too.
discovered that the reason she's frail is because she's got a lot of magic power that she's not using up, and it came out spectacularly.
Yes,
didn't
that was
it?
very satisfying, wasn't
so
it?
satisfying.
Now,
I'm not so enamored with it. She did not destroy everyone.
She didn't, did she? She did put the fear of God in them, though. So that's. I mean,
I see what you did there. I've got the perfect sound for this.
yes,
There
thank
you
you, thank you
a
very
little
much.
muted. But
A little muted bum tiss. Boom tiss. This is on Crunchyroll. It's subbed and dubbed. It has got also on Muse Asia. 12 more episodes of this is coming. Look, if you're looking for something comfy to watch, this is where to go. It's fantasy slice of life. Studio Ajaya Do, as we mentioned earlier. PG-13, adapted from a light novel, and it's just wholesome. Like, this isn't like the other isekai where it's, oh, this person's overpowered or anything like this. It's genuinely, she's just using her knowledge to try and make the best of the life she's been given.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of it.
I can get
really
behind that.
and it's in a very interesting world, like very unique.
Speaking of unique and interesting, we've got Fruits Basket Season 2 also coming our way.
Now, this was the reboot of the original one because the original manga artist actually didn't like the original
No.
interpretation.
No, it isn't.
I actually do like this more.
Yeah.
This one feels a lot more grounded, a lot less fillery.
So where we are is that it's almost been a year since Toru started living at Shigeru's house, and though she now has a deeper relationship with each of the Somas, not just Yuki and Kyo, she is concerned about their sinister curse's true nature. To be honest, so are we. The right path to choose, predetermined destiny. What emotions will arise in Yuki, Kyo, and Toru in the face of the eternal banquet? What will be their resolve? Will they be able to actually find the power to choose? Can they choose?
You're asking a lot of questions,
So many
which I don't have answers
questions.
for.
But this season will. Probably. Maybe. Could be.
Well, we've got
Perhaps.
25 episodes this season, so hopefully they will nut some of it out.
This season and next. So if you haven't heard of Fruits Basket before and you're new to the channel, Fruits Basket is a series where a girl called Toru comes across a family. She basically lost everything, lost her family,
she's
lost her
an
home.
orphan.
She starts camping and turns out she's camping on the property of this family, the Somas. The Somas have all been cursed to change into animals of the zodiac whenever they're hugged by a person of the opposite gender.
Yeah, so they'll turn it into a mouse, a snake, a cat.
And you can imagine that this could pose more problems than you might originally consider. Yeah.
So I can highly recommend it. It is very emotional. It is drama. It's a shoujo series, supernatural drama, romance, comedy, slice of life. They keep adding more genres to it. It's hilarious.
I wanted to go mecha.
You wanted to go mecha?
Yeah, she hugs one of the guys and he turns into a mecha.
There's a zodiac sign
funny.
for a mecha.
It's Japan. There should be.
That's true.
It's
I'm
by-
sure they'll make it happen.
It's
I
by
was born under
TMS
the sign of the
Entertainment.
Gundam.
The sign of the gun. The sign of the gun.
Yes, TMS Entertainment do this one.
Yeah, Tuesdays at 1:30 a.m. in the morning that airs. So look for it Tuesday night, Wednesday morning.
And the return of another just favorite.
Oh,
Kaguya-Sama Love is War Season 2.
oh, I'm hyped.
Because
I'm
one
ready.
was not enough.
It was not. It really was not. Now, if you haven't heard about Kaguya-Sama, I'd be very surprised. It has been splashed across the internet, and it was actually my anime list's most looked forward to show this season.
And it was splashed across our show to no end.
It
To
was.
the chagrin of a few friends of mine, they're just like, can you guys talk about anything else?
No, Kaguya-Sama love. Now, the guy who did the opening theme is back to do this season's opening theme.
Yes.
Now, we're recording before the first episode has landed on the channel, unfortunately. But Anime Lab, Funimation, and Wakanim, all the same places, A1 Pictures.
How do you top that song?
Well, he's going to.
We're just gonna.
I wonder
watch
if we're
and
going to
wait.
get another Bond-style intro.
Hope so.
Oh, it's got
gotta
to
be.
be. It's got to
So,
be.
if you haven't seen Kaguya-Sama, essentially it's a story about two students at Shuchin Academy, Miyuki Shirogane and Kaguya Shinamoya. They are student body's top representatives. They rank the top students in the nation. They're respected by peers, teachers, mentors alike.
They are like these people have got like nerves of steel. They are very serious about being the best of the best.
Now, Miyuki, he serves as the student council president, and alongside him, the vice president, Kaguya, who's the eldest daughter of the wealthy Shinomiya family, excels in every field she tries. They are regarded the perfect couple by the entire student body, except they're not together. They both have developed feelings for each other, and neither is willing to admit
Their
it.
problem is pride.
Yes.
Yes, they are of the belief that the first person to say, I love you in a relationship is putting themselves in the sort of the weaker, submissive position,
they will
giving the other
be
person power over them.
Looked down upon. They will be considered the lesser of the partnership. And
so they are like, it is a constant war to make the other one say those words to them.
they're both equally determined to be the one to emerge victorious on this battlefield of love.
And they just want the other to somehow admit, little by little, that there is something going on. Just the smallest admission means
And it's
that,
not like
that slide into weakness begins.
It's not like they're also aware of their partner's intentions or feelings towards them. They seem kind of blissfully unaware of it. Like they are the only one that's playing the game here. Only
so
they have the plan.
And there is genuine sort of second guessing, like, oh, does he like me? You know, oh, does she like me? And then they have to sort of like bring back their massive egos and go, yeah,
So
they do.
apparently the first opening theme has a spoiler for how one of them actually unveils to the other
Ooh.
how that they like
As
them.
in from Astra, Lost in Space.
What?
Similar to that.
Oh, how it's got secrets hidden in it. Yeah.
Yes.
But I suspect this season we're going to end with that. I think this season is going to have that big climax and go from there.
Okay.
Also, if you're hungry, Food Wars is back, season 5.
yes.
Another 13 episodes for this one. I will be honest, this is where the story starts to get a little bit less interesting. The story up until this point has been, was pretty full on. but it feels like they could have ended the manga here and not gone to season 5 as far as the content they do in the manga.
Yeah, so long as there's good food, I'm for it.
Yeah, look, it's by JC staff. You can watch that on ADN in France and Crunchyroll everywhere else. If you haven't heard of Food Wars, it's about Soma Yukihara, and he wants to be a chef, and he gets sent to the best culinary school in the world, and he doesn't even want to be there.
And this culinary school, it's like, if you guys ever remember that show Iron Chef from way back when, I feel like this is the place which developed those superstars.
Yeah, exactly. Very quickly, continuing from last season, Ahiru No Sora, our favorite baseball anime is basketball, not baseball. See, I'm too used to talking about baseball. This is what happens when you get balls on your mind. Ahiru No Sora, our favorite basketball anime, is back. Shonen sports, drama, and comedy. It's available on even more places now. So Crunchyroll, wherever it's available. High Dive has got a sub and a dub for it. And it's available on Netflix in some regions as well. So if you can't get High Dive or Crunchyroll, Netflix. This is going for 50 episodes. We're only at the halfway point. And that's Wednesday nights at 6:30 p.m.
We've also got a certain scientific Railgun T season 3 that is going to be airing every Friday at 10 o'clock JST.
A good continuation of a good series.
Absolutely. Obviously, same studio. Be aware this is rated R18+.
Yeah.
This is not for the faint-hearted.
No.
Great series.
Very
Give
good
it a watch.
series, but it does have quite a high level of violence, so just be aware. It's available on Crunchyroll, Anime Lab, and Funimation. Only get the dub. This is part of that right-sharing agreement that Funimation previously had with Crunchyroll.
Fair enough.
And also Netflix in some regions. Onto the usual suspects.
Yes, we have Black Clover's 131st episode, Boruto's 152nd, Detective Conan right up there.
Tour de Force.
975 episodes, followed very closely by One Piece's 928th episode. How?
Now, with them both being weekly shows, that means One Piece is 2 years behind Detective Conan to catch up.
Out.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen there. There's also a load of OVAs coming out.
Yes.
So the ACA 13 Territorial Inspection OVA, which
Fascinating series.
It is. It's I think this is 45 or 65 minutes in length. It's a prologue, like an epilogue. Sorry, not a prologue of the show.
So what happens
so
afterwards?
It's set a year afterwards.
Wonderful.
That's available now. I think Crunchyroll have it. I need to track it down, but it's also available on DVD. Bokuben, We Never Learn, have got several OVAs coming out with their manga bundles. Outburst Dreamer Boys from last season, the Shinibyo one has got an OVA. Ascendance of a Bookworm, 2 OVAs are coming.
Sweet.
Pokemon Twilight Wings is continuing. There are 3 more of those shorts coming.
Oh, I want
Sorcerer Stabber Orphan has an episode 14 coming, and ReZero's prequel, the OVA, 18 minutes worth.
No.
You really don't like it, do you, Coco?
It ruined me.
That is on Crunchyroll from May 1st. It has got a dub coming, but the dub, we believe, has been delayed due to coronavirus restrictions. There is also the 4th Reincarnated as a Slime OVA, and there's still number 5 and number 6 to come.
There's quite a few movies as well.
Yeah. Now, the movies are interesting because there's a lot of movies which have been cancelled. So there's only 3 big movies coming that are going to be in the cinema, but there is so much coming to home media.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good.
It's crazy. I think we want to talk first off about...
Yeah, Given. The obviously series Given about the rock band.
Yeah, so
has a movie.
It's shown an eye, which means it's about boy love.
It's guy love between two guys.
While the TV anime focused on the band Given's guitarist Ritsuka Uenoyama and his high school classmate Mafuyu Sato, the film centers on the love relationship among the band's bassist Haruki Nakayama, drummer Akihiko Kaji, and Akihiko's roommate and ex-boyfriend Igetsu Murata. Oh, it's a love triangle.
It's a love triangle.
I wanted to see the bassist and the drummer fall in love, but this is giving me some trepidation. I don't want anything to threaten that.
Yeah, we'll have to see. That's meant to be out on May 15th by Studio Lurch, who did the series. These next 2 I don't think I've talked to you about, but there is Omoi, Omoware, Furi, Furare, Love, Be Loved, Leave, Be Left.
Dare you say that 5 times fast?
No. A1 Pictures, out on May 28th. This is a drama romance school shoujo series. It centers around 4 people. Yuna and Akiri, who have 2 very different views of love. Yuna is someone who sees love as a dream, and Akari is someone who is very realistic about her romance choices. Meanwhile, the 2 boys, Kazumi and Ryo, also have different views of love. Kazumi's an airhead and doesn't understand the concept of love, and while Ryo grabs the opportunity when confessed to as long as the girl looks cute.
Oh, he's diving in. Good
Together, they fight crime. Sorry.
This looks good. It's A1 Pictures, so you know it'll be shiny. But the key question is whether the plot stands up. I don't know if this is based on a manga or anything like that, or a short story or a novel, but we'll find out more. There's also this one.
This one's interesting.
This one kind of gives me a bit of hope. So it's it's Studio Signal MD in Sublimation. We've seen a few films from them recently. May 14th, this one's due out. It's called Cider, Nooo ni Kotoba ga Wakiagaru. Words bubble up like soda pop.
Oh, do they?
Now, words and music bridge the gap between Cherry, a boy who is terrible at communicating with other people, and Smile, a girl who hides behind a mask. They meet in a mundane suburban shopping mall in a provincial city. Cherry always wears headphones and puts the feelings he cannot utter into his hobby, Japanese haiku poems. Smile, however, always wears a mask to conceal her large front teeth, for which she has braces. As a popular video star, she streams a video about seeking cuteness.
Okay, this sounds
From
interesting.
what I've seen from the trailer, they accidentally swap phones.
Oh.
Together. They fight crime.
This is a comedy with a huge focus on music.
Which is always great.
It looks really heartwarming, so I'm hoping this does well.
We've also got a list of Bluray releases coming
it's
up.
contagious. I've given you...
humidity is just affecting. It's very humid today.
What can I call it? Stumbleitis?
Stumbleitis.
Stumbleitis 19.
So we've got
The typo fairy.
Free Road to the World at Yume.
Now, this is the swimming anime, very popular.
I loved the abridged series.
Oh, every single one of the episodes looks like an ad for Calvin Klein.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We've got Hakubo.
Which I think we talked about briefly.
Yeah, it was very brief.
It didn't get a release over here. It's a smaller one.
So we've
Hello
got
World.
Also, yep.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Human Lost.
Oh,
sorry.
So Human Lost still has not received a release in Australia for widespread release. It was released at Madman Anime Festival as a special showing, and it hasn't got a cinema since.
Remind me, which one was
This
Human
was the
Lost
one
again?
where there was a guy who lives outside of the city, very sort of a bit like not Akira. It's got a very 80s vibe to it. It's like, the people who live inside the castle, like in the central district of the city, are all like super wonderful people apparently, and everyone outside is, just scum or whatever.
Oh,
And
yes, I remember this one.
he finds his way into there and discovers that everything is not as it seems inside the castle.
We also have Her Blue Sky,
Oh, that's going to be great when we get that.
Konosuba, Legend of Crimson.
Yes.
That was One Piece Stampede.
Which apparently just did incredible in cinemas.
Nice. And Weathering With You.
Yeah, that's going to be a big home release. I'm excited for that. I really am.
We'll have to get hold of it when it
that
comes
was
out.
emotional.
We're going to get it on the 4K Blu-ray HD DVD DVD.
Absolutely. You got to see it at its full potential.
Best. That wraps up everything from this season. As you realise, there probably is a fair bit less. We've had cancellations. Sword Art Online's last core cancelled. It's very disappointing because that was meant to start this week actually. But I'd rather them take the time and get it right and make sure we get a decent show. So we'll see what happens from it. But that is where we'll have to leave this episode because we've already gone on way longer than we expected, which happens every time we do a season preview.
We cut a fair bit out, and it was still a slog.
Still over there. But we'll leave you with the dulcet tones of Food Wars.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Well, that is where we'll leave things for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us again. We hope you enjoyed the show. And next episode, with the lockdowns being down around the world, upcoming episodes are going to be a little bit different. We've got some more restrictions coming in here, so we can't do things as usual. We will be doing more Kawaii-Fi extras, though, and looking at some great films you can check out while at home and streaming. Also, Coco's heading on a hiatus.
Yes, I'm so sorry, guys. I know I just came
Yeah,
back.
the disappointment's real.
Yeah,
My day is ruined.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I can't believe you've done this.
Cannot believe that you've done this.
It's just
good.
a hiatus due to work. So honestly, I leave this podcast in your capable hands, and I will.
See you when you
I'll
see
be
ya.
seeing you when I see you.
We will be getting some guest presenters on in the coming weeks to help join us. And if you've got some ideas for shows that we can do, please do give us a call. Well, obviously leave it in the comments. We haven't got a hotline. This isn't a proper radio station, unfortunately.
And if you've got this far, maybe hit the subscribe button, smash it, squish it.
Squish it like a cat.
And you'll get all our upcoming episodes straight to your chosen device.
And don't forget, you've got to head over to our Instagram and Facebook page if you haven't already. Give us a like and follow because we'll put those anime news and videos there straight away.
And our YouTube page.
And our YouTube page.
Oh,
Raise our view count.
Another thing, we now have a Kawaii-Fi cat.
We do. We
So
do have.
feel free to check out our Instagram. We will be introducing him in the week.
He's named after a very nerdy anime that I watched when I was much younger. And by nerdy, I just mean an anime I watched when I was much younger.
I thought it was a game character.
The game. So I named him. We'll get through this. He's named Liger.
Yes.
I named him after my pet in World of Warcraft, which was named Liger, who I named after the Zoid in Zoids, which is called Liger, which had different armor you could put on it.
I did not know this.
Anyway, well, now you know. Now everybody knows. It's wonderful. Little Liger is cute and adorable, and you will see many pictures of him in the coming weeks.
Looking forward.
Everyone needs a cat during ISO. It makes sense. It just does.
It does.
So, look, you've been listening to Kawaii-Fi Radio. Thanks so much for joining us again. And until next time,
Watch some anime!